It has come to my attention that some people are not familiar with the block loop when it comes to connecting metadata in the theme editor. This is not a new feature, but it may have snuck by unnoticed. This is especially useful for variable data you want to share on product pages, for example, FAQs. And in this video, I'm going to show you an example of how to connect FAQs and also share with you the limitations of this feature. For this, I'm going to show you the setup, but I'm not going to go in depth in this. So this is a meta object that I've created for each record. So each record will have a question, answer, and icon. Then on the product, we have FAQ icons, which is a meta field that's a list of meta objects that are the FAQ icons. So you can see that here I have 5 in total, but only 3 are selected for this particular product. This is just the setup. And I have other videos on how to do this if you're not familiar at all with meta objects, but I'm not going to go into the details now. Then once we get into the theme editor, I'm going to go and grab the FAQ icons. And you can see that it just comes, with a few examples in there. And so we have 2 blocks. We have a section heading and then the question block. So the question block comes question answers and the option for an icon. In this instance, we don't want to have to write them for everyone. If I wrote the answers here, every product that's using this template would have the exact same FAQs. So what I want to do is connect it to those meta objects that I've connected to each product specifically. But I might have 2 on one product and 4 on another product. And so I need it to be variable. This is where the block loop comes into play, which is so what I'll do is I'll just delete all of the questions except for one. And so now we just have the one block, question block. And so when I go in here, you can see right up here it says connect dynamic source, which is for the whole block. Otherwise, you can connect dynamic sources to the individual things as well. In order to get the loop going, you need to connect to the whole block. So then I would click in here. And again, you want to make sure that you're on the product template section. But then I look up for the FAQ, and I have a lot of testing, but the FAQ icons is what I want right now. So I click that, and you can see that it's now connected everything, and it automatically figures out what is the best one. So question matches question. You can change this if it gets it wrong by just removing it and reattaching it to the correct one, but it matches type. This is a single line, and this is a rich text, and this is an image. So for simple things like this, it's going to get it pretty well. And then open these up, we have the data. This is all the setup you need once you've set up all the metadata on the actual products, because now when I go to a different product, you can see I have different ones and I have 4, but also some are the same. So this is the great thing about the meta objects is maybe the washing instructions are the same on a bunch of products, but other FAQ information is only relevant to some. So this gives you the most flexibility, and this is really great specifically for product pages, because then you only have to have one template for multiple products, and it's just way easier for management. Now, the limitation is this is done with an FAQ that is using section blocks. If we want to do something with, say, the more flexible theme blocks, we don't have that option yet. Maybe we will in the future, I'm not sure. But if, say, I do collapsible content, I don't have the same thing up here to connect to loop over. This is probably for technical reasons because the blocks can come from anywhere and it's not as straightforward and simple as the section blocks. So in this case, I think Theme 2.0 sections with section blocks are still extremely useful at this time for these types of things, and especially on the product page. So that is the one limitation. I am crossing my fingers that eventually we will get a block loop for this. And one other thing to note is that we did have the block loop for the product list. So in the product list grid, we can connect test collection with these 2 products. So we can connect that here. And then if we go into the group here above the product title, we can add an image. And then if we connect that to an image we have in the meta fields, you can see that it does pull the correct object without connecting it with a loop in the way that we did with the FAQs. However, this is because this particular section is specifically set up to do this, and not just a block that could be used for anything, if that makes sense. So this is a product grid, and it's designed to know that there might be product meta fields specific to it, whereas collapsible content is just a general section that's not specifically designed for that purpose. So that's the one thing that you'll have to watch out for. So because we have all these options now, it's getting a little bit more confusing to know what you can do where, but the block loop is still super helpful.